out over many other platforms, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and a whole bunch of others that I'm not even going to go through the list. If you're on one of those platforms right now, thank you for being there and watching, and welcome to Normie CE Training. With that being said, welcome to spring. It is March 21st, 2023. Spring is upon us. So things are going to be changing outside. Depending on where you are in the country, it may have already changed. I can tell you that up here in the Northeast where I am, it was 29 degrees this morning. It was 65 degrees this afternoon. The flowers are completely confused outside. So with that being said, we really have to think ahead towards hurricane season. I know we just hit spring. It's not that far off. And if you haven't noticed, hurricane season has been starting earlier than the official calendar dates for hurricane season over the last several years. We have been getting some major storms in May, so we're not that far away from it.
And lasting longer, Lance, too.
Yes, yes. And with that being said, we're dealing a lot more with flooding conditions, a lot more with stronger wind, surge problems. So please plan ahead. We will be offering during some of our CE trainings coming up in the near future, our flood training and our hurricane training that we do. Those are also available on our websites, and we do have them as some other free venues that you can see those on, and we'll talk about those as we get closer to doing that. We also run it on the Normie TV channel. Many of you are watching on normie.tv right now, or on indoorairquality.tv to remember all the different locations that we're broadcasting. So it's all out there for you. Hopefully you can take advantage of that, and in your leisure, be able to get some of this knowledge and information you need to be ahead of the curve. And that's the only way I can describe it. In our session that we had just prior to going live here on all these platforms, we were talking about supply chain issues, not specifically with us, but just generally in the market, buying things. There is a term called that stores do, where you'll walk in and you'll look from the end of the aisle and just see everything is filled to the brim, right up to the edge of the shelves, until you walk down the aisle and see there's one item sitting there and nothing behind it. It's called blocking the shelves, and stores have become very good at that because of the lack of inventory. So, and I'm sure you've all noticed that in grocery stores, big box stores. So that's just a sign of things that could happen if a storm comes through your area. So please take that into account and be ready. All right, tonight we have several things coming up. Right now, we are broadcasting from our Zoom room, and I want to explain to everybody watching on the other platforms, we will be doing a presentation shortly. You will see this full presentation. At one point after that presentation, we will be signing off on the multiple platforms and staying in our Zoom room, which is for active Normie members. That's where they are logged in. And we do have an additional presentation with Alan Johnston tonight, and then some training on some new products. So that's something that's upcoming for the Normie members that are here, or anybody that's becoming a Normie member or just joined. That's where you would be able to find that. Okay, guys, is there anything I need to cover before we get started with our presentation?
Nope.
Okay. So what we're going to do tonight is an interview that we have with Kana and Ramu Sankara. They are the co-owners of Reusip, which is a reusable zipper / magnetic door type for containment systems. And it's not just for mold remediation. This is being used in everything from hospital settings, military settings. It's being used all over the world. This is an international product at this point. And these guys are pretty good, and they're very innovative, where they listen to the people using their products and they make changes. They make additions. They throw in more bells and whistles if you want. So they're going to talk about a bunch of that stuff tonight. They're also, if you listen closely, they don't call it tips and tricks. I'm calling it that. They're going to mention a few things tonight that I haven't heard of or thought of doing before. And it's pretty interesting for them to show and talk about some of the different things that you can do with this technology. So we will take some questions afterwards. What that means is when the presentation's done, If you raise your hand, we'll be able to open up your mic if we have time for that. And if not, you can always type your questions into the chat area. We will have people monitoring that, at least in the Zoom room. If you're on the other platforms, we may not be able to cover all of those questions. And if that's the case, you can always send your questions in to support@normie.org. So everybody sit back, relax. I think you'll enjoy this. And I'm going to ask my admin people to make sure you shut down your mics and your videos. Make sure that's all off. I'm going to do the same. And we will be back momentarily with the interview. Please stand by. I want to welcome today's guests, Kana and Ramu Sankara from Reusip. We've been working with these guys for quite some time. We've spent a lot of time at some trade shows together, and well, we'll get into that as we're talking through this. So guys, want to pop in here and say a quick hello and tell us a little about yourselves?
Hi, I'm Ramu. I'm Kana. We're identical twin brothers and co-founders of Reusip.
Well, could you let us know a little bit about the company? I mean, we hear the name, we think we know what it's about, but give us a little bit more detail for those that don't know who you are.
Okay, so I think what we're best known for is our making the world's first reusable dust barrier zipper and the world's first magnetic entry strip, which is essentially a self-closing dust barrier zipper, also reusable. And it essentially works on a hook and loop system where you're just buying these things, which is essentially loop Velcro strips. This is the only consumable part. And then the other ones are reusable. So it's almost like the Dollar Shave Club of zippers. So I guess that would be the easy way to summarize it.
Well, I'm gonna put you guys on the spot in a little bit. I got a few questions I'd like to really go over with you to kind of set the stage here, but I'm gonna ask you to do some demonstrations if that's all right.
For sure.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so I know getting in touch with you guys, I've had some issues because you're always traveling. I know you're at all the trade shows all over the place, and you're always someplace. It's kind of like, where are these guys? So, you know, how does it work out for you at the trade shows? Because I know I've seen you at quite a few of them.
Oh, I mean, it's almost like we need a triplet because it's like we're always slammed at all these things. It's which is great. I'm not complaining, but we're exhausted after these things because there's always like lines and we're demoing this thing over and over. And we're very grateful that it's something that's very that people care about. I know it's a small thing like a zipper, but we know on the job site they're interacting with this part of the containment all the time, and we're happy that we can provide some value there.
Well, I know at the experience show and some of the other shows we've been at, you've actually been with us in our booth, and we've set up walls and demonstrated containment with your equipment, which has always been a big draw. Like you said, there's a lot of people there with a lot of interest.
Well, I can say in the very, very beginning, we went to an experience and we're just, we didn't know what we're doing. You guys saw our product, and actually you're probably one of our first supporters. You took our magnetic strip and put it on your flood booth, and which was awesome of you guys. So we'll always be grateful for that. So thank you. And thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. And you know what? It was a real good add-on because we were demonstrating containment and all the different ways that you can do that, and you have to access containment, and it was just a natural fit with what you do. Matter of fact, in our CMA and CMR classes, we demonstrate the Reusip systems, I'm going to call it, or products, because you have several different ways of doing stuff, and there's no one size completely fits all. So we show your stuff. We do show a few other types of processes, and then pros and cons. And, having that in there for the students to get their hands on it, touch it, use it, see it, experience it, makes all the difference in the world. So I'm going to thank you for allowing us to use that in our classes, because it does make a big difference.
Well, obviously, yeah, thank you.
Well-
But well, we mentioned what we make, and I think I should say why we made the zipper and what makes it different, because people
Sure.
think, okay, well, there's dozens of other options like it. What we believe is that the entire restoration industry simply adopted what was around, and what was around was, we believe, remodeling and general dust containment zippers. And ours are designed, what we believe is designed for critical barriers, and it was born out of the restoration industry and made more specifically for this industry. But the quality is such and the price points are such that it's good enough for healthcare, construction, and mold remediation and more critical environments, but it's priced that all industries will benefit from it. So our mission is essentially to develop products for critical environments, and at the end of the day, it's going to benefit everyone.
Well, speaking of the critical environments, your system will work with negative and positive pressure, correct?
Yes, and in the beginning, people didn't actually believe, like when we showed the magnetic entry strip, people assumed, and I think it's because of the old way of what they're used to, is they're probably buying magnetic doors that those don't hold negative air pressure. But we proved over the last 2 years during the pandemic that these things will hold over 5 pascals of negative air pressure. Probably, I believe that's double what's required for isolation rooms and healthcare. And these were used for self-closing COVID isolation rooms in hundreds of hospitals and medical facilities, like senior living, dental,
a bunch of government facilities.
Yeah. So
Well,
we kind of went away from restoration for a bit, and went into really focusing on, and we got up in the morning to help, like, I don't know, we almost made it a personal mission to help with the fight against the pandemic. And because we knew we had the only product that can remove, not just hold negative air pressure, but works in open concept, because you can position this thing, anything on a barrier, and it works with any size barrier. So all the barrier constraints are eliminated. But it was great to be able to partner with the restoration companies that would listen, because we actually enabled them to get jobs, like lots of jobs, because they would just use their containment skills to build barriers of all kinds of shapes and sizes, and then just install our product. So it was kind of a big win-win.
Leftovers.
Yeah, and oh yeah, totally forgot about that. One problem that we're happy to have solved is when we put these on, and I'll show you the demo later, but we would solve the self-closing access through isolation rooms. And we were happy we were able to get the doctors and nurses away from using the zippers, but they had brought up, well, one problem we have is gurney access, with dragging the plastic over the gurneys and all that. And we told them, well, since we've eliminated the barrier constraints, you can actually use two of them, like side by side at variable widths, and you can accommodate, you can create the first ever magnetic flap door. So now we're doing flap doors and double flap doors, and our products open up all kinds of different containment techniques. And there's several. There's several, from even one feature. Oh, you got it.
They can go over the benefits and pros and cons.
Yeah, even the simplest thing like this, which is we added a grommet at the bottom of our zippers, so you can do lockout, tag out by overlaying here and putting a cable lock through here. And people were doing that in facilities where they were not fumigating, was it the gas treatments with the
sanitizing.
Yeah, sanitization. And they would put the zipper on, lock it out, and let it sit for an hour. And then with our system, you can actually peel off the zipper and put the magnet in its place. The zipper and magnetic strip are interchangeable.
On the same mounting strip that's already installed on the barrier.
That's one of the things that I like about the system, especially for any kind of medical environment. You don't have to physically touch anything to gain access. You literally can walk, with your shoulder, it opens up, you walk through, you don't have to zip, unzip, and have that a touch point that becomes an issue with transmission of bacteria, mold, viruses, things like that. So as far as the different verticals that this could work in, I mean, you've named quite a few of them. Like it could go down as far as just a regular dust barrier too, not just, decon chambers and positive and negative pressure environments.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost countless. Every day we're getting different industries buying from us, from grow rooms, so that would be like mushroom farms and cannabis facilities, to people doing HVAC thermal control inside of trailers and RVs and retail facilities and food facilities. So
Greenhouses and
yeah, outdoor greenhouses, which, another technique that's a good point is that we helped someone doing an outdoor greenhouse where they put the magnetic strip on the inside of the barrier, and then they put the zipper on the outside because there were severe wind gusts, but he still wanted to be able to go hands-free access. So he'd go in and out and then just use a zipper on the outside. So you can actually use them in combination, which is yet another technique. And so we feel like we're going to open up the type of techniques and empower the contractors, because I mean, we've seen some skilled contractors and see how proud they are with the containments. And if we can give them, I mean, it makes us happy if we can give them more tools to do what they do even better.
So I was surfing around your website earlier. I just want to see if there's anything new since the last time I was out there. And what comes to mind is it's 4 terms, but you've answered some of it. I just want you to expand on it a little bit more. The words I found were reusable, reliable seal, cost-effective, and versatile. I know you've talked about versatile already. Can you touch on some of the others? I'll give them to you again. We talked about reusable. So you're only replacing the bottom piece?
All right, so let me just do a quick breakdown of the entire zipper.
yeah, break down the
Okay.
zipper and points, what we saw with the reusability.
Okay, so with traditional disposable dust barrier zippers, the complaints that we see all the time are the zippers jamming, breaking, and separating from the barrier, and people having to use additional adhesive to keep it on there. We've eliminated all three of those, because with this, for break resistance, we have a 7-gauge zipper versus a standard 5-gauge, so it's higher break resistance. There we go. The 2-layer system. So this is the peel and stick mounting strip. This will be added on. The two layers are too thick to get stuck in the zipper head, so they're essentially jam proof. And you don't need a special knife that cuts a gap or anything to create that jam resistance. You just use a regular utility knife down this cut guide, and it is the poly sheeting is not going to get stuck in there and stuck in the zipper head. So jam resistance. And then if you look at the back of this mounting strip, it's 100% high grade adhesive. You're not going to have to put on additional tape and to prevent the zipper from coming down. We've heard about people who literally sent their technicians out to check their zippers to make sure the barriers haven't failed or the zippers aren't coming down. The other great thing is replaceability. In the worst case scenario, the zipper breaks. Well, with other containments, you have to redo the entire containment. With ours, peel it off, just replace the zipper, and you're good to go. This zipper is probably the same, if not less, in cost than a disposable zipper anyway. And then the mounting strip is about 1/3 of the cost of a zipper. So continual use will actually help you continue to save money. I mean, people essentially make money off of our zippers if they're using it more than once. And if they use it only once, it's not like you're out of pocket, like extra or anything, because it's comparable in price to a heavy duty zipper.
All right, one last question before I ask you to show us a little bit about how these things work. I see you have a setup behind you. Pressure and strength. As far as how much pressure can they really handle? Has it been measured? You have documentation on that?
We would say we had it field tested. We don't have it documented, but it's essentially been used in the field, measuring over 5 pascals. We would hit 7. Some people got it to hold like 11 pascals.
I believe at one of the trade shows, just to test the disposable zipper strength and versus our reusable, I think we did hit over 30 pascals, and some of the other disposable zippers started separating from the poly and ours didn't.
Yeah, like, that's ripping down the containment before our zipper's even coming off.
Okay.
With the Velcro, it's I can't say Velcro, it's hook and loop. There's a little bit of give that you don't, and adjustability that you get that you won't get with the disposables.
Okay. Well, I see, I mentioned it before, you have a setup behind you. Could you give us a demo on how this works?
Yeah.
Just remember, we may not be able to hear what you're saying if you're far away. That's all.
We're gonna be moving the camera. All right. So. In the interest of time, we already put up the mounting strip. So the peel and stick mounting strip goes on just like a disposable desk sprayer zipper. You'll peel and stick this on, and what you'll do is just add the zipper and put it down. You'll open it up, and then you'll just cut down the cut guide, and then you got your zipper on. Alternatively, you can cut first, add one side at a time. And once you've got it on, you also got this feature, which that's where you can either put a cable lock through the front or pierce through here and do it all the way through. And then you've got the lockout tag out with the zipper. So here's show you how we can interchange between zipper and magnetic strip. So we'll just roll up the zipper, and it has these fastener tabs right here, fastener tabs that'll hold it in place neatly. And then we got this carry bag that'll go into. I'll show you that a little later. But here's how you switch from zipper to magnetic strip. So this is the magnetic strip. Same thing, has a hook on the back, magnetic columns. And the trick here is you'll put on the mounting strip, cut it first. This way you'll prevent from cutting the magnets. So you'll put that and cut it first. You'll fold this in half. So the magnetic columns are stacked. And then you simply by one side. Come down. Yeah. So. So, yeah, and then this is right off. Easily fold back up.
How much training do you need to get that right?
Not very difficult. If someone's already using a desk sprayer zipper, it's pretty simple.
Very good. I mean, it does look simple. And when we've used it in class, I've never done a switch like that. I mean, we usually put one up or the other, but it's just as easy, I guess, to switch, which you just demonstrated.
Yeah. So one of the first medical facilities that used our product was Orlando Regional Medical Center. And there, I believe there's a board of people that were discussing our product, looking for a solution because they couldn't hold maintain levels of the proper level of air exchange in the isolation rooms because the nurses and doctors were leaving the zippers open. They had initially they had access to our zippers, so they put those up and they wanted the magnets. They're like, okay, we'll give it a shot. They went ahead and put on the zippers because that's what they had because they needed to get something up immediately. And he said, go ahead, do that because you're going to be able to switch out to our magnets. And then they did, and it ended up solving their air exchange issue. Obviously, because the nurses and doctors are not leaving it open. But then we also proved that it can actually hold the levels of air pressure required. Then after that, more and more hospitals started kind of catching on and doing it. So we've been trying to get the word out there, but right now it's a lot of individual locations. But we had like Patterson Air Force Base, HCA, Dignity Health, Kaiser, like some of the big names, and recently Canadian Special Forces ordered for their medical facilities. So, you know, it's out there. We've proven it all over the place, and you know, this is going to help us hopefully get the word out more to industries you guys work with too.
Well, we're definitely going to have this out there for our members and our followers, so they will see that. So without putting you on too much of a spot, which I don't mind doing, is there anything new coming that you can talk about? I don't want any trade secrets here, but anything new that you can let us know what's coming. If you say no, that's okay too.
Let me maybe hint at it. Only because we're, you know, we're trying to be a little careful.
Enough said. Enough said. We can go with that.
Yeah.
So where can somebody buy this
okay,
stuff?
You know what? Better to cut me off. Yes, there
Yeah.
are going to be things, and I'll just say there are going to be things coming out. They're going to almost, they're going to add even more containment techniques, and it's like we're excited about it. It's coming soon, but
Yeah, you'll see it real soon.
Okay. So where can somebody purchase this stuff? Is it in the big box stores, through distributors, from you guys? You know, where do people go to get the reusable systems?
So we sell it directly online and on Amazon, but we also just recently, actually as of yesterday, just launched with Wesco Hazmasters Connie Safety. So that's in Hazmasters in Canada, Connie Safety's in the US. There are several locations of Aramco that have started carrying it. So we believe it will start going more system wide. And we have several big distributors testing this out right now. And so hopefully it's going to be everywhere soon. No big box yet, but we have companies like HD Supply and people like that reaching out to us to test it. So,
And we're in some locations in UK and Australia, and we're starting to spread. So
But that's good to hear, because we've also recently been doing stuff in Australia, the UK, South Africa. So we're definitely having an impact in a lot of different locations too. And for us, it makes it easier when we refer to a system or a product, or at least a type of technology, people are familiar with it, especially when we're going outside the US. So that makes a big difference. So that's a good thing. All right. How about contact info for you? What's your website for people to
it's
go to?
www.reuzip.com. You can contact us at email at info@reuzip.com.
All right. Any last question here? Any upcoming trade shows we can find yet?
I think next one we'll be at Serve Pros trade show, their big one in Tampa Bay in June.
That's their
Okay.
national conference. That might be more exclusive to them, but yeah, nothing on the schedule just yet. We've been focusing a lot this year on the new products that we got coming out, but we'll be back in the circuit again probably next year.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you spending the time with us. I know it's a big time difference. I'm on the East Coast, you're on the West Coast, but I do appreciate you being here. And we'll do this again when you can tell us about some of the other super secret stuff that's coming out.
No, we'd love that.
We appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lance.
Well, I give everybody a chance to adjust their volume a little bit. I'm sure you turned your volume levels up just a little. They are soft spoken, and hopefully we're able to hear all of that. I do appreciate the time they spent with us. It was a good interview. They took the time to demonstrate what they do and how the stuff works, and I think it was very important, and it was educational. So thank you. And I want to thank everybody that was here watching that. Roger, or Tim, did you notice any questions in the room during the interview?
No, sir.
All right, well, we can open it up at this point. If anybody has any questions in our Zoom room here, they can either type them in the room or raise their hand and we can answer them before we shut down all the other feeds, in case there's anything that anybody else wants to know about.
I would just say, Lance, that, I sit through a lot of classes. I'm in a lot of classes. And one of the questions you asked was spot on with that. The people in those classes, when we do the hands-on, just take it and go. There's not a learning curve on that. So it really is an awesome product, and they're good guys. They're honest and really hard working. So just throwing it out there. I put their website in the chat.
Okay, thank you for that.
Yep.
And Tim, I'm sure we can talk a little bit later on about the Reuse It products, if they're available, locally, and we can cover that in a few minutes. All right, well, if there's nothing else, no other questions, I do want to remind everybody watching on the other platforms, and I do want to show you something. I'm going to bring up another screen here, so just bear with me. And I'm going to share my screen momentarily. I just need to jump around here real quick. And this is going to be for everybody that's watching on the other platforms, including our Normie members here in the Zoom room. Give me 1 second. I'm sharing the screen now. This is our main landing page at normie.org. This is open to the public. Anybody can go there. And there's a lot of information on this site, especially if you're not familiar with Normie. It's a good place to start. But on here, we do have a link under the menu up top for Normie TV. This page shows upcoming broadcasts. Somebody's mic's open out there. Upcoming broadcasts that are going to be available on here. And besides that, there is a player, which I will pause right now. And below that, you're going to see all the different platforms that we do broadcast on. And I didn't want to mention all these before, but they're out there. We are live on all of these on Tuesday nights. During the week, we don't go on the social media platforms, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, but everything else we do broadcast on. So if you're looking for the TV channel at normie.tv or on any of your favorite platforms, we're there. I know we've had people request to be able to watch it on TV, which is one of the reasons we're up on YouTube and Twitch. Further down on the page, we have a list of 5 different platforms for podcasts. The audio of these interviews is loaded up on these different podcast platforms. So if you're into podcasts, you're able to go there and listen in. These links will take you directly to our pages. So for those of you looking for more Normie content, there it is. It's easy to get to. Just go to normie.org and you'll see the link right up top, Normie TV. Okay. For those of you on the other platforms, thank you for spending your time with us. We're going to be shutting this down. We do have a private training that we're going to be continuing with in the Zoom room. For any of our active Normie members, if you are watching on one of the other platforms, I encourage you to come into the Zoom room at impact.normie.org. You obviously have to log into Normie to do that. Just go to impact.normie.org. You'll be able to get in for the interview coming up with Alan Johnston and Doug Hoffman, and then some additional training on some new stuff that's coming out. Everybody else, thank you for joining us. We look forward to seeing you in the future. Please stand by while we shut down the external feeds, and I will be back momentarily.